Mr. Farrell, we have the first of the budget bills that we hope to be seeing in the coming days as we move toward a completed 2013-2014 state budget. And I'd just like to ask you a few questions as they relate to this proposal. I know we have this debt service bill, but do we know yet for the full budget that's going to be completed in the coming days, how much new debt is authorized for the 2013-2014 budget?
You're right, we have not resolved the capital projects and material impact on debt, and will not have a material impact on the debt service. But capital spending is a multi-year plan, and debt service on the new capital spending may not have a material impact in this bill. The new bill, debt service, relates to capital spending appropriations. If certain capital appropriations are not agreed upon, then it would probably result in a less debt service payments. The amount of debt issuance is approximately $5 billion, $5,200 million, approximately.
So you're issuing 5 and authorizing.
It's been, the governor is proposing 2.5 in new capital spending over 5 years. And
so not all this is resolved yet, as you said, but we should have a clearer picture at the end of this process for answering some of those questions. You mentioned that the debt service is $6.4 billion in your opening remarks. The governor's proposal listed $6.6 billion in his proposed budget. The differential between the governor's proposed 6.6 and the 6.4 is made up how?
We're not doing it. Oh, it dropped to 6.4 because he's making a prepayment on dormitory, the CUNY Dormitory Authority and the SUNY.
In prepayment in the 2012-2013
yes.
fiscal year.
Yeah, he'll prepay that, and that will take that money off the.
So how will our debt service compare 2013-14 versus the current fiscal year 2012-2013?
Let's see, the debt service for 13-14 was 6.3883, $6,383 million, and the new one will be $6,661 million. That was last year's, so we save approximately $278 million.
Thank you for that. Also, the debt reduction reserve fund, the governor had proposed $1 billion. That's been decreased in this plan. The review would suggest by half going to $500 million. How and why was that done?
We're just leaving it. It's a dry out appropriation, so we decided to leave it where it was, which is the $500 million.
Leaving it where it was from last year?
Last year.
Last year, it's the same as not accepting the governor's
right.
push to do that.
And the governor agreed to it.
Okay, thank you. And within this plan, you talked about debt issuance and whatever. Is there a certain amount of debt being retired within this plan?
Yeah, debt retirement is approximately $4,340 million.
the governor, is a part of his focus trying to do some reforms for the budget. It ended up making two bonding reform proposals, sales tax revenue bonds and SUNY dormitory facilities bond. I don't see those, you know, as a part of this bill. Will we be seeing those as a part of other bills that come forward? Are those still?
It'll be in the Article 7 bills.
Are we hopeful they're going to be included in that?
Yeah, they will be included in that.
Very good.
That
Thank
was
you.
how we presented it to begin with. It was in the Article 7.
Thank you, Mr. Farrell, for that information. I would just ask a little bit more in the overall. You talked about debt service of around or being at $6.4 billion this year, and that dealing with some of the. Do you have the figures of how much our state supported debt is at this time?
Debt outstanding. 57 to 57.
50.
Hold on just one second. I want to make sure I'm right. Yeah. We got two different numbers. Okay, this one. Okay. Thank you very much. Yes, yes, yes. Numbers change in the middle of the night.
I understand.
Yeah. But right now, the debt outstanding for the state fiscal year 13-14 is $54,830 million.
54.83
Yes.
billion. And
That's a 1.3 increase over last
understood.
year.
And so we're using $6.4 billion in debt service to help pay off that and whatever. In addition to that debt, we have state authorities that have substantial amount of debt. I've seen some figures, and maybe, I don't know if yours concur, not 240 plus billion, excuse me.
I'm sorry, ask that again.
No, the amount of authority debt that would be on top of the state-supported debt that we just talked about. Do we have any? I've seen some figures before, and the comptroller has.
Oh, to the outside. Yep. Oh, there's stuff outside of state services, and that's over $100 million. Billion. I'm sorry, $100 billion.
Yeah, I said a million too, but billion. I've seen the comptroller had given some information estimated to be in the 11-12 year up over 240 billion. Do we have any sense on that debt? You know, we talked about debt service in this bill related to the amount that state support and other. Do we have any sense when we put all that together how much debt service annually New York State is?
Well, it's not ours, so we are not. We're not.
It's not ours as legislative, but it is ours as a state government and state entities that have been created by state government. Is
No. Okay, no, it's not our debt. It's a debt that other people do when we're doing a program. Columbia University does that. That's not our debt.
If those entities default, though,
No.
The state has no obligation?
No, we don't. Not on that one. Maybe
Or on all? one last question, back to that debt service, not on the one that we don't know much about because you say it isn't ours, even though it's the state entities have created those. Back to that 64.4 billion, how much of that is interest payment, or billion, excuse me, how much of that is interest payment and how much is it toward retiring or other costs associated with debt of the state?
Before I answer that, I want to continue the answer I didn't do on the other one. The reason Columbia would be doing it is so they get no taxes on it. They don't have to pay taxes. So we allow them to use our name, but we're not responsible for it. But it's in a way of getting it to build something cheaper. So that's why we say it's not ours.
So we might have that, but also included in that debt, wouldn't you suggest, is throughway authority debt or dormitory
I think we have that in dormitory. We count that. And we have that some. This other stuff that is not that. It's not any of our agencies. But as I said, I used Columbia. They wanted to build something. We said, all right, we'll give you the authority in our name, and you can use it and make the bonding, and you don't have to pay the interest. Now, the other question, I'll get an answer on.
Thank you. We'll continue that other discussion at another time, too.
The 6.4 has both the interest and the principal within it.
Do we know how it's broken down or not?
No.
How much of it's going to interest?
No, we probably do, but we don't have it here.
I appreciate further maybe trying to reach that so that we have a good idea of
Okay,
how
I'll
much.
try to get you a principal on it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farrell.
Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, on the bill, this is the debt service bill, the first of the budget of this year. As we look at this, this is the state's payments on money that we have borrowed over the years for various, some of it ongoing services. I think that over the years we've seen that grow. It's been a continuing burden. We rank second in the total debt among the states. We rank fifth in the total amount per capita. It makes it a more difficult determination every year for us to be able to fund the programs that we are so important to all of us for this state. And this bill is reflective of our decisions, both as the executive and the legislature over the years, of allowing our debt to grow to a level that is causing a greater challenge for our state. Today, as we approach this, I'm going to be casting my vote in the negative as we go forward, hoping that our decisions in the future will allow us to move toward a better and stronger New York with lesser debt instead of what we have seen over the years as a course of action of continuing to grow in this state. And so, as I said before, I'll be casting my vote in the negative. Thank you.